Celtic Twilight by W.B. Yeats. We are continuing Dreams That Have No Moral. Well, even dreams should go beyond mere entertainment, but at the end of that time, one morning there came a deer outside the window with bells on it, and they ringing, and it called out, "Here is the hunt. Where is the huntsman and the hound?" So when Jack heard that, he got up and took his horse and his hound and went hunting the deer. When it was in the hollow, he was on the hill, and when it was on the hill, he was in the hollow. And that went on all through the day. When night fell, it went into a wood, and Jack went into the wood after it, and all he could see was a mud wall cabin, and he went in, and there he saw an old woman, about 200 years old, and she sitting over the fire. "Did you see a deer pass this way?" says Jack. "I did not," says she, "but it's too late now for you to be following a deer. Let you stop the night here." "What will I do with my horse and my hound?" said Jack. "Here are 2 ribs of hair," said she, "and let you tie them up with them." So Jack went out and tied up the horse and the hound, and when he came in again, the old woman said, "You killed my 3 sons, and I'm going to kill you now." And she put on a pair of boxing gloves, each one of them 9 stone weight, and the nails in them 15 inches long. Then they began to fight, and Jack was getting the worst of it. "Help, hound," he cried out. "Then squeeze hair," cried out the old woman, and the rib of hair that was about the hound's neck squeezed him to death. "Help, horse," Jack called out. Then squeeze hair, called out the old woman, and the rib of hair that was about the horse's neck began to tighten and squeeze him to death. Then the old woman made an end of Jack and threw him outside the door. To go back to Bill, now, he was out in the garden one day, and he took a look at the well. And what did he see? But the water at the top was blood, and what was underneath was honey. So he went out to the house again, and he said to his mother, "I will never eat a second meal at the same table, or sleep a second night in the same bed, till I know what is happening to Jack." So he took the other horse and hound then, and set off over the hills, where the cock never crows, and the horn never sounds, and the devil never blows his bugle. And at last he came to the weaver's house. When he went in, the weaver says, "You are welcome, and I can give you better treatment than I did the last time you came in to me." For she thought that it was Jack who was there, but they were so much like one another. "That is good," said Bill to himself. "My brother has been here." And he gave the weaver the full of a basin of gold in the morning before he left. Then he went on till he came to the king's house, and when he was at the door, the princess came running down the stairs and said, "Welcome to you back again." And all the people said, "It is a wonder you have gone hunting 3 days after your marriage, and to stop so long away." So he stopped the night with the princess, and she thought it was her own husband all the time. And in the morning the deer came, and the bells ringing on her, under the windows, and called out, "The hunt is here. Where are the huntsman and the hound?" Then Bill got up and got his horse and his hound, and followed her all over the hills and hollows till they came to the wood. and there he saw nothing but the mud wall cabin, and the old woman sitting by the fire, and she bade him stop the night there, and gave him 2 ribs of hair to tie his horse and hound with. But Bill was wittier than Jack was, and before he went out, he threw the ribs of hair into the fire secretly. When he came in, the old woman said, "Your brother killed my 3 sons, and I killed him, and I'll kill you along with him." And she put her gloves on, and they began to fight. And Bill called out, "Help, horse! Squeeze hair," called the old woman. "I can't squeeze. I'm in the fire," said the hare. And the horse came in and gave her a blow of his hoof. "Help, hound," said Bill then. "Squeeze hair," said the old woman. "I can't. I'm in the fire," said the second hare. Then the hound put his teeth in her, and Bill brought her down. And she cried for mercy. "Give me life," she said, "and I'll tell you where you'll get your brother again, and his hound and horse." "Where's that?" said Bill. "Do you see that rod over the fire?" she said. "Take it down and go outside the door, where you'll see 3 green stones, and strike them with the rod, for they are your brother, and his horse and hound, and they'll come to life again." "I will, but I'll make a green stone of you first," said Bill, and he cut off her head with the sword. Then he went out and struck the stones, and sure enough, there were Jack and his horse and hound alive and well, and they began striking other stones around, and men came from them that had been turned to stones, hundreds and thousands of them, and they set out for home. But on the way they had some dispute or some argument together, for Jack was not well pleased to hear he had spent the night with his wife. And Bill got angry, and he struck Jack with the rod, and turned him into a green stone. And he went home, and the princess saw he had something on his mind. And he said then, "I have killed my brother." And he went back then, and brought him to life, and they lived happily ever after, and they had children by the basketful, and threw them out by the shovelful. I was passing one time myself, and they called me in, and gave me a cup of tea. So, what does that sort of thing mean? And what stories does that remind you of?